Hey everyone, hello and welcome back to Karma Stories. I'm Rob and I hope you are having a wonderful day today. I'm hoping the wind up here isn't all that bad. I'm up on top of Mount Pelion in Trenton, Ontario, my hometown, and just having a good old time up here. I figured I would include it in the intro to today's video segment at least, and to let you all know that we are now doing video on all platforms. We're doing it on YouTube, on Spotify, and on Facebook. So any one of those platforms, you get to see my smiling face and not just hear the audio if you want to. Now, as I've been mentioning in the last few episodes, make sure to join the Karma Stories Discord, which is linked at the top of the description on YouTube and on Facebook and on Spotify. And you can come talk with me and a whole bunch of other people that enjoy Karma Stories. I'm in there all day long, sometimes way more than I really should be. But it's a great place with a bunch of great people, and I highly encourage you to join. The link is at the top of the description, and it's completely free. Come on over and say hi. All right, with that out of the way, on to the stories. Let's jump right in.
This story comes to us from Soft Savings 4126. Am I the butthole for platonically cheating on my best friend? I'm in the middle of an ongoing argument with my best friend. My, female 19, best friend, male 19, and I have been close for 3 years. I have quite a large social circle, but it has always been common knowledge that Matt is the person I am obviously fondest of. People know that, and it's no secret that we spend most of our time with each other. Things were absolutely fine until this week. I was invited on a 5-day camping trip with some of my course mates at college. We spent a lot of time together and wanted to celebrate the end of the semester by saving up to go somewhere. For reference, Matt isn't part of this group because he does another major. So it didn't really come up in conversation before this point because he hardly knows these people, and it didn't seem like a big deal to me. The trip is scheduled for the start of August, and I told Matt at the start of this week that I was going. He went silent, and when I asked him what was the matter, he said that it was weird how I put that much money and time aside for people I've only known since September. I told him that's ridiculous because we spend a lot of time together as a group, and we're good friends. He still went on to say that we've never traveled together, and he's got 2 years on them. Then he said it's like I'm a platonic cheater. I feel bad because my first instinct was to laugh a bit, because honestly, I didn't expect him to come out with that, but then he hung up the phone and wouldn't answer my texts. I don't know what to do about this because I can't find it in me to apologize. I'm not a cheater, and I feel like he's making me out to be the butthole for having friends aside from him. To be honest, I think the reason we've never traveled alone is because it would be a solo trip between 2 members of the opposite sex, and frankly, it'd feel like dating territory. It's just not appropriate, and I'd rather travel in a group. But Matt's friends aren't my friends, and my friends aren't his. It's not that I think he'd come on to me or anything, but I think that that's the type of thing I'd rather reserve for a boyfriend. By the way, this will be my first traveling experience done with friends rather than family. So, am I the butthole for choosing to vacation with relatively new friends instead of my best friend of 3 years? Alright, let me know what you think of this one in the comments down below. Is OP the butthole for going on a trip with other friends besides their best friend? Jumping down to the comments on this one, we have one from a user called SaltyPotato843. It says, "Girl, I think your friend likes you," laughing my butt off. Why else would someone come up with platonic cheater? Give me a break. OP responded and said, "I thought it was because we're so close. Am I effing dense?" Another commenter called Totally Working here said, "Not the butthole, and Matt sounds like he's definitely into you. I'm a woman and my best friend is a guy. I've known him for roughly a decade at this point. He goes on tons of vacations, hangs out without me. The only jealousy I've ever felt is a little bit of envy that he got to have some cool experiences I didn't. I never cared that he has friends besides me, and platonic cheating is definitely not a thing." One more commenter called Quiet Lover X said, "Not the butthole, you are allowed to have other close friendships and go on trips with whoever you want. Matt is acting possessive and framing your choice as betrayal, which is unfair and emotionally immature. It's okay for him to feel left out, but it's not okay to guilt you over it. You've done nothing wrong by saying yes to a fun opportunity with your college friends. If he values the friendship, he'll talk it out once he cools down. OP responded and said, "Thank you. I'm trying to assure myself of that, but he has been a rock for me, so he's kinda got me thinking I have betrayed him in a way." Which sounds crazy, but I don't know. Okay, before we get into OP's update, I want to say on this one that he seems to be a bit controlling. He seems to think that you are his, and that you shouldn't be able to go because he has known you longer. Okay, that's possessive and completely wrong. I feel like this guy is definitely into you like the other commenters are saying, but I feel like he might be into you in one of those crazy stalker ways if he doesn't want you to go have fun with your friends. Now, OP added an edit at the bottom of this one. It says, "I rang Matt today after reading the comments from the morning and asked if we could meet up to talk in person, because I'm not happy about the silent treatment. We argued on Wednesday night. He said he'll come over after his shift on Tuesday, so I guess I'll update if we resolve. I'll probably only be doing one because I don't want to drag the situation." He didn't apologize over the phone, by the way. Alright, let's get into OP's update, which is titled Update. Friend who accused me of platonic cheating and I may be in denial about our relationship. Things are kind of resolved, but also up in the air emotionally. In short, Matt came over and it started off pretty heated because I was quite mad. I said he's completely overreacted and it was really immature of him to ignore me for nearly a week. He didn't say much and had his head in his hands for a while, which made me go quiet. He kept saying, I know, I'm sorry, I feel stupid." So I just came out with it and asked if there was something he needed to tell me because I want to know. At this point, I was crying, a little riled up to say the least. So he hugged me and said he loved me and he was irrational and jealous. Can't lie, I thought we were going to kiss, but we didn't. I don't know what's going on here, but you guys weren't crazy. We talked more about why the trip bothered him so much, and he kind of echoed what you guys theorized. He felt left behind and said out of all his friends, I'm the one he values the most, and he'd love to do something like his first friend holiday with me. Neither of us are that well off and have only been on a handful of trips with family when younger. I can't lie, I was very nervous, very emotional, didn't want to push it by asking explicitly if he had a crush on me, but I do acknowledge that the way we act with each other is a little more than wholly platonic. Maybe it's just one of those loves where you'll always have that attachment, but it need not materialize into a romantic relationship. I don't know, I'm still confused. Anyway, I think he was a bit immature at best. You could argue slightly possessive at worst. He said that when he said platonic cheater, it was ironic, which explains the theatrical wording, but the jealousy was obviously real. We laughed about it a bit, did a blunt, I think we're okay. I mean, I'd love to hear your takes. I know some will say I'm in denial. Alright, well, this update didn't really answer the questions I had, and there doesn't really seem to be a lot of resolution. But let's jump down to the comments on this one and see what some Redditors think. So we have one from a user called MaverickJ2K, and it says, "Girl, Matt wants to be your man, but doesn't know how to say it because he's 19. Get some balls and ask him flat out." Okay, so I agree that OP needs to figure out exactly what's going on here, and that means that one of these two people is gonna have to come right out and confront the other one and say, hey, what's going on between us? But OP, there's something you need to address here because you guys aren't together and he ghosted you for a week because you want to go out with your friends. If you guys actually do get together, that's not going to get better, it's going to get worse. It sounds to me like he's a little bit possessive, okay, a lot possessive, and if you guys actually say, hey, yes, we're dating now, that's going to be even worse, and he probably won't want you to go see anybody else but him. Alright everybody, let me know what you think on this one. Make sure to comment down below if you're on YouTube or on Spotify, and tell me what you think OP should do about this relationship with their quote-unquote best friend. This story comes to us from Defy the Patriarchy. Will I be the butthole for going ahead with a wedding that my mom is violently opposed to? I, 25 female, have been engaged to my fiance, 27 male, for just over 2 years, and we dated for nearly 3 years before he proposed. We set a wedding date back when we got engaged, but postponed it because my family was going through a rough patch and it didn't feel right at the time. We're now aiming for April 2025. Venue is booked and everything. However, my mom despises my fiancé. She says that he has warning signs of an emotional abuser. He is selfish and wants to keep me to himself, and that he's going to turn me into a helpless housewife just to pop out babies for his southern racist family. For clarification, I am a kindergarten teacher, currently pursuing my master's degree, and have exactly 0 plans to have kids in the next 5 years, which he agrees with. He is an electrical engineer, also pursuing a master's degree, and does not agree with his family's conservative beliefs. She lives across the country and recently came to visit for a month. It ended badly. I mean, screaming fights, storming out of the house, and crying until 2 a.m., all of which culminated in me driving her to the airport 2 weeks early. She swears she will never step foot back in the state for any reason, and she refuses to be in a room with my fiancé or his family ever. Well, while she was here, I didn't get a chance to tell her that we're planning to go through with the wedding. Things are booked, etc. I fully intended to, but with all the fighting and turmoil, I didn't have a chance. Now, my fiancé and his family are asking questions about where we're at in the wedding planning process, and I'm really torn about how to answer. On the one hand, we could reschedule the entire thing, and I could work with my mom to get her to agree to come. On the other hand, we could go through with the wedding, but I would have exactly 0 family members present. I desperately want my mom to be there, but I don't know if she'll ever come to terms with my fiancé's existence and importance in my life. And I'm not sure I want to keep postponing the wedding because she's not ready for me to get married yet. So would I be the butthole if I do go through with it? Extra info, my mom does have a TBI, which affects her emotional regulation. She has had the TBI since before I started dating my fiancé, so he never met her beforehand. Despite the brain injury, she swears that she is being perfectly reasonable, and that as an older woman who has dated a lot more than I have, just the one, and has known abusive men, that I should trust her implicitly and leave him. So for this one, I do think that we don't have enough info to pass judgment at this point, and that is echoed in the comments. We have one from a user called Strapo. It says, "Info, what are the warning signs your mother says she has seen? Why is she so opposed to your fiancé? What exactly led to her leaving early when she came to visit?" And I have to say, people I know who were in abusive relationships were always the first to deny there was anything wrong with their partner. So OP updated the post at the bottom here and it says, "Info, everyone has been asking. So here are some of the warning signs that she says are emotionally abusive. 1. He wouldn't leave me alone with her while she was here visiting. She's referring to the fact that while we would talk in the evenings, he was always in the room, because we talked in the living room of the small house where we live. Never mind that he literally stayed out of the house for 2 days so we could hang out together, just my mom and I. 2. He does not encourage a strong bond between my mom and I. She means that he has not pushed me to go visit my mom and brother across the country, even when they needed help. My reasoning is that I don't actually want to go across the country very often. 3. He is gay and using me as a beard." She's referring to the fact that years ago, before we even started dating, I made an offhand comment about how people thought that the new server might be gay. We worked in restaurants with a lot of liberal college kids, and straight people were the minority, so we kind of assumed everyone was LGBTQ+, unless told otherwise. I was obviously wrong, as we have been together for 5 years with no issues in the bedroom and many conversations about the facets of sexuality. 4. He encourages me to lie to her. I lied about going on a trip to Puerto Rico entirely by my own choice, and despite multiple warnings by him and my best friend that it would end poorly. It did end poorly, and she does not trust me anymore, which is a separate issue. But again, my choice to lie. He actively told me it was a bad idea, and I didn't listen. Back into the comments for this one, we have one from a user called Stripe Badger. It says, "You know there's no solution here. Your mom has made it very clear she does not and will never consider your fiancé family. She will never be okay, never agree, never settle down. Maybe she's right about why, maybe she's not. We're never going to be able to judge that for you. I would hope you've given it due consideration, consulted with third parties who have no stake in the matter, and made your own judgment. After all, you're still with him, even for how long she's been saying that. What you do know is your mother is never going to treat him with the respect he deserves as your partner, and she is the one who is choosing to be removed from your life because of who you love. You cannot change her mind or make it anything other than it is. Not the butthole, you can have the wedding and your married life for better or for worse, but it's going to be without your mom. I'm sorry that dreams don't come true sometimes. Another commenter down below called TGAH said, "Not the butthole. Have your wedding. It's your mother's choice whether to come or not, if you decide to invite her. Don't do it if you think she'll cause a scene. And you have no other family members at all to invite? What about friends? As long as there will be people there to support you, have your wedding and enjoy it. If you can encourage your mother to see a neurologist, do so, and try to speak to them before the appointment to tell them how she's been behaving." OP responded to this one and said, "My family broke apart almost 10 years ago when my grandma died, and all I have left are my mom and younger brother. My side of the aisle would just be my best friend, a few close friends, and some friends from work. Unfortunately, she lives in a city with subpar medical care, especially when she has state disability insurance, which covers virtually nothing. I'm not quite sure how you have this one because mom has a TBI, and mom's brain might not be working properly compared to what a normal person's brain might do." There were so many people in the comments for this one saying, "Oh, your mom's being unreasonable, your mom doesn't know what's going on," but they're not taking into the fact that mom has a TBI, which affects her emotional regulation. That's exactly what OP said. With that in mind, there's no way that OP can guarantee whether their mother's going to be reasonable or rational if they attend the wedding, so unfortunately, I don't think they should be there. I'd love to know what you guys think on this one though, so if you're on YouTube or on Spotify, make sure to drop a comment and let me know. Now, OP made another post a little bit later, and it is related but not completely. It's titled, "Will I be the butthole for not turning my location services back on after a fight with my mom?" A little background, we have had Life 360 on our phones for years, since my mom was a single mom and my brother and I got home from school before she did. It's never been a problem, because she checks it for peace of mind, knowing where her kids are. Now, she lives across the country with my brother, and I am in a different state. She has a brain injury, and still looks at my location a lot, since I'm not great at answering texts all the time. My mom is in her 50s, I am 25, my brother is 23. Last Christmas, I turned off my Life 360 because I was going on a trip to Puerto Rico that I knew she wouldn't approve of. I lied about it when my brother asked why it was turned off. My mom caught me in the lie, and it blew up our relationship pretty badly because she felt like she couldn't trust me. I am well aware that I was the butthole in that part of the situation. I shouldn't have turned it off, and I definitely shouldn't have lied. However, nearly a year has passed. Our relationship is still very rocky, and recently we are on the outs about my upcoming marriage. She doesn't approve and doesn't want it to happen, but I'm still doing it. She has started using my location against me, calling and starting fights whenever I spend time with my soon-to-be in-laws, asking why I'm leaving the house in the evenings or what my plans are on the weekend that require me to drive an hour away from home. About 2 weeks ago, she and my brother turned off their locations and told me they were going to walk into the desert and hurt themselves. I panicked, called the cops, and it turns out it was all a cry for help. They were sitting at home, totally fine. Well, I turned off my location out of anger and frustration. The thinking was, if they were going to turn theirs off to lie to me, then they didn't need to know my every move anymore. My brother texted me a couple of days ago asking me to please turn my location back on so they can know when I'm home. I am reluctant because I'm still angry and hurt by their words and actions, and it honestly has been pretty freeing to know that my mom can't sabotage my days out by calling and starting fights when I leave the house. I know that she does look at my location for peace of mind. Remember, brain injury, very emotional, very anxious. I also feel that at 25, in a different state, I should have a certain level of privacy from my mom. She does not need to know my every move, but I did turn it off once before, and that ended up causing a huge pile of mistrust and lies. And I don't want to do that again either. So would I be the butthole if I keep it turned off, or should I do what they want and turn it back on? So my family uses Life 360 as well, but I've said from the beginning that once my kids become adults, if they want it turned off, that is completely their right to do that because they are entitled to their privacy. OP, you're 25. What the hell? Just turn the thing off. If mom's gonna be angry about it, that's not really your problem. You're an independent adult. You don't need to be tracked everywhere you're going. That is not good for your mental health. In the comments for this one, pretty much everybody down there has the same thought pattern that I do. One of them, called Jeepers Creepers 74, said, "Not the butthole. OP, you're acting like your mom is just the average annoying mom here when she is mentally unstable and has roped you and your brother into a codependent relationship. It is not normal for a parent to be tracking the movements of their adult child. It was not rude of you to turn it off before you went on your vacation, and it was not wrong of you to do any of the following, whether it hurt your mom's feelings or not. Go to Puerto Rico, get married, spend time with future in-laws, or spend time with your future husband and other friends. What was wrong, like really, really wrong, was for your mom to pull her walking into the desert stunt in an effort to manipulate you. Keep it turned off and get in therapy if you aren't already. I'm not keen on the go low or no contact suggestion, as many in this subreddit are, but I think you have no choice here and you need to encourage your brother to do the same." Alright, one more post from OP here where they updated the original post. It's titled, "Am I the butthole for marrying a man that my mom hates? Update." I made a post here almost a year ago, and I am so grateful to the people who took the time to comment. I read them all, and I received a lot of messages from people with advice and kind words. So, an update. We got married. A lot of y'all told me to go through with it, and after a lot of thought, we did. When my mom left in October, we were in a bad place, and we were having a lot of really awful phone calls and screaming fights. I was desperate to do something, and I finally found a therapist who helped me process some of the things that happened between my mom and I, and my role in things. In the months leading up to the wedding, my mom continued to scream at me over the phone and make threats about me choosing him or her, and how she hoped I wasn't the kind of girl who got rid of her family to please a man who would end up leaving her anyway. She was downright hateful, and I spent a lot of time crying over our relationship because I couldn't believe we had gotten to this point. Even with knowing that some of her dysregulation was because of the brain injury, I just couldn't believe my own mom would threaten me, call me a C, and tell me that I wasn't allowed to be upset with her because she had been traumatized her whole life. We got married in April, and my mom and brother did not attend. I was able to reconnect with my mom's cousin, who I used to be close with as a child, and she and her family came to the wedding. I had my best friend, her family, and my work family there to support me. A close friend performed the ceremony. Plus, of course, my husband's family was very supportive. There were times I missed my mom, and I wanted to see her smile in the audience, but I was ultimately glad that she wasn't there. I would have felt like I had to perform and cater to her every whim, and I am so glad I was able to just have a lovely day with all the people who came to celebrate with us. Just to reaffirm my feelings about her not being there, my mom did not contact me at all on the day of, and only called me a week later to ask whether I would be sharing any pictures with her. I did send her a few because I thought a small part of her might care, but all she did was comment on how it looked like a cheap Amazon wedding. She hoped I was happy with my crappy choices and that they were worth the loss of my family. I miss her constantly despite all our issues, but I haven't cut her off completely. We've been having a hard time communicating at all right now, and I don't know if it will ever get better. But I'm happily married, and I don't regret it. Thanks for reading this far, and I appreciate all the kindness and honesty I got from my original post. Let's go right to the comments on this one. We have one from a user called OKTonight3703. It says, "Not the butthole. Frankly, you should go no contact. Your mother is a toxic, awful, cruel person. TBI or not, you should not continue to subject yourself to her abuse. She will ruin every special moment in your life if you allow her to. Plus, if you do eventually have children, do you want them subjected to her unstable behavior?" Another commenter down below called SpareAd5009 said, "Not the butthole. Your mother is not the mother you knew. That person has died. You can mourn her passing and deal with this brain-injured woman who is in her body. Give her very little information about anything that she can put down. Get her talking about her favorite grandparent, uncle, aunt, cousin, favorite times with parents, or childhood. If your father is still with her, ask him to accompany her to the doctor to discuss the change, and if she is depressed. Okay, so we can't deny that what OP's mother is doing is absolutely horrible towards OP, but we can't ignore the fact that OP's mother has a TBI that is affecting her emotional regulation. And it sounds to me like she's not on the proper medication or talking to the proper people to deal with that issue. OP, I'm sorry that your mother doesn't get the help that she needs, but it sounds like you're not helping with that either, being that you're in a different state. So this leads me to the fact that you need to do one of two things. You either need to cut her off completely and not let her know about anything going on in your life and not even take her phone calls, or you need to take an active role and make sure she's getting the help that she needs. Yes, she's a different person, but she's still your mother and she has a brain injury. So that needs to be a focus. Now, I'll probably get ripped apart in the comments for that one, and I encourage you guys to let me know what you think, because sometimes when I give opinions, they're different from the ones that you guys have, and that's completely okay. We're allowed to have different opinions, but I'd love to know your opinion or why you think that mine is wrong. So comment down below on YouTube or on Spotify, and I'll respond to as many of them as I can. Alright, I think I'll end this one here. As I said, if you're on Spotify, make sure to follow us and give us a 5-star rating if you will, because it really does help our placement in the Spotify algorithm. If you're on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button and drop a like on the video. It really does help us out over here. I thank you all for watching and listening. I hope you have a wonderful day, and we'll see you tomorrow.